All right, Mr. Grafton.
Hola.
Can we do an attendance roll call, please?
Sure.
Or would you like me to do it?
Sure. I see
Okay.
everybody.
So we have
Craig.
Commissioner Susan,
I got
Present.
Susan.
Commissioner
I got
Craig,
Jim. I got
Craig
Joe.
Hannafin present.
Commissioner Joe,
Joe is here.
Commissioner Rick,
Rick Carberry present.
Commissioner Vice Chair Burt,
Bert O'Donnell here.
myself is here, and Arthur is here. He's just up. Arthur's back.
I just got, yeah, sorry about that. I don't know what happened with my other one.
No problem. And we have Arthur. So we got everyone. Bill?
Copy 7. Beautiful.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to open the meeting of the Marshfield Conservation Commission on March 2nd, 2021. You want to look for a second, please.
Second.
Craig, that's 4 in a row. Excellent. I'm keeping track.
All right, we'll do a roll call vote. Commissioner Susan,
Susan Karen here.
Commissioner Craig,
Oh,
Craig
yeah.
Hannafin here.
Commissioner Joe,
Yes.
Joe Ring, yes, here.
Commissioner Rick,
Rick Carberry, yes.
Commissioner Arthur,
Art Loggy, yes. I'm here.
Vice Chair Burt,
Bert O'Donnell here.
Jim Kilcoyne, yes. Okay, so we are officially open, March 2nd, 2021. Bill, so we have the draft minutes have been submitted to the commission for 2/2/21. Am I ready to move forward, Bill, to vote to approve?
Yeah, I got some comments back. Those of you commented, thank you. No,
All right.
no changes, so we're good. So they'd be as written, sir.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes from the February 2nd, 21/21 Conservation Commission meeting as written. Looking for a second, please.
Joe Ring, second.
Joseph, thank you. Commissioner Art,
Yes.
you have to say your name, Arthur, sorry.
Art Loggy, yes.
Commissioner Rick,
Rick Carberry, yes.
Commissioner Joe,
Joe Ring, yes.
Commissioner Craig,
Craig Hannafin, yes.
Commissioner Susan,
Susan Karen, yes.
Vice Chair Burt,
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Jim Kilcoyne, yes. Okay, we'll move on then to vote to approve the 2/16/21 minutes, Bill, as written or as edited.
I got all positives from that, no negatives or edits, so it's ready to go as written.
I would like to make a motion that we vote to approve the February 16, 2021 minutes as written, the Marshfield Conservation Commission and Commissioner Susan.
Susan Karen, yes.
Did you get a
Need
second?
a second.
Second.
Oh,
I'll
all right,
second.
so sorry, we'll start all over. I'd like to make a motion to approve the 2/16/2021 minutes as written. Look for a second.
Susan Karen, second.
Thank you,
Give that to
Susan.
Craig.
Bill, thanks for the help out there. Appreciate it. Commissioner Susan,
Susan Karen, yes.
Commissioner Craig,
Craig Hannafin, yes.
Commissioner Joe,
Joe Ring, yes.
Commissioner Rick,
Rick Carberry, yes.
Commissioner Arthur,
Art Loggy, yes.
Vice Chair Burt,
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
and Jim Kilcoyne is a yes. All right, so we've gone through attendance, we've opened, we've gone through minutes. So I'll move quickly to the chairman's address. Pretty standard stuff, except for the last part. All meetings will continue remotely until further notice. 3 continuance rules is still in effect. Please mute if you would until you wish to speak. We have 14 items to vote on this evening. So please make sure your discussions are on point to the project and to the deliberation points for the commissioners to consider. Modified Robert's rules are in effect. 5 minutes interrupted for the applicant. 1 minute for the administrator, 10 minutes for the administrative discussion, go to public comment. We go to vote. Please address all comments to the chair or the hearing officer. Pre-vote polls may be conducted to gain the perspective of the commission. All votes will be conducted by roll call with each commissioner announcing their name and vote. The new 505 regulations have been posted on the town's web landing page as well as the conservation tab. In addition, 2 advertisements will appear in the Marshfield Mariner announcing the March 18, 2021 Chapter 505 regulations public hearing. During the hearing, the Marshfield Conservation Commission will review revisions made to the 505 Marshfield Wetlands Protection Regulations, address public comment, discuss action items, and motion to approve and or continue the public hearing. For access to the document, you can go to the town website. It is Chapter 505. draft Marshfield Wetlands Protection Regulations. Okay. With that, I guess we will go to B1 485 Pleasant Street. I believe this is Kristen Snow. Are you there able to join us, Ms. Snow?
This is Greg Morse. I'm here to represent the Snows.
Oh, great, Greg. Okay, welcome. Could you give us just a very brief synopsis, if you would, Gregory?
Absolutely. For the record, Gregory Morse, I'm a registered engineer with Morse Engineering. The property owners, they are on the Zoom call with us tonight, Kirsten and John Snow. This is their property located at 485 Pleasant Street. I filed a notice of intent on this property approximately 3 years ago to do a raise and reconstruct of a single family home there. The Snows purchased the property after that NOI and order of conditions were issued, and they're getting ready to begin construction of the new home on that lot. However, the footprint of the home has changed from what the permitted footprint was. The footprint has increased in size slightly. It's approximately 460 square feet larger, but it is a reduction in impervious area within the 50-foot buffer zone by approximately 136 feet. The limit of work around the site remains the same as was approved. The setbacks from the house to the wetland remain the same as what was approved. But we're here really just to hopefully get your blessing that this is a de minimis change in the footprint of the proposed house. Secondly, there is a detached garage at the property, or a workshop, if you will. It's kind of a little outbuilding. We're looking to move that outbuilding location and either move the building that's already on site or reconstruct in its place at the location shown, which is approximately 10 feet closer to Rugani. However, it is outside of the 50-foot buffer zone in either scenario.
Thank you, Gregory. Septic system changes, yes, no?
No, it's the same number of bedrooms and the septic system was approved by the Board of Health. No changes there. It's just the building footprint and the detached workshop footprint.
Okay, but this is a new septic system.
Yes, a new septic system.
Okay, great. And we've got the footprint of the house slightly larger and slightly different configurations, what you're saying.
Yes,
Okay. And the shed is moving to right just outside the 50?
correct.
Is that previously disturbed area, Gregory?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. So are you requesting amended orders of conditions? Or what do you, or is this, are you considering the project, or what are you considering, Greg?
We're making this request just as a de minimis change, something that we could pick up on an as-built plan without filing for a full amended order of conditions.
So your current NOI timeline has not elapsed, is what you're saying?
Correct. We have a valid order of conditions.
You have a valid order of conditions in effect, which represents basically the same of what you have. And you've got a change in the house, change in the garage, septic is the same. Okay.
Yes.
Greg, was the septic part of the original approved permit?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Yes, it was.
Any other commissioner comments, thoughts?
The revision is the red outline, Greg?
The revision is the solid, the thicker black outline.
Okay, got it.
So
The revision is the thicker black, Greg, not the purplish reddish?
It's purple.
it's
If you got the color version, it's purple.
in color, I guess it's purple. On my screen, it's black.
Okay, good, because I was going to get confused on that one. So, so it pulls back from the 50 in some areas, it goes into the 50 in other areas, and you're pulling 10 feet there. Okay. For the commissioners, let's do a quick poll here. Do you want this to be a de minimis, or do you want this to be Can we do this as an RDA as well, Bill? Or is that not because we've got to open orders of conditions on an?
You got two options.
Require
Special
amended and
condition A requires some kind of permitting written by the commission. And the only two avenues from this valid permit would be de minimis activity or amended order of conditions.
Amended order.
They'll have to refile with amended order of conditions. They'll have to record. They'll have to have a new pre-con with me and get going. And I think this is pretty slight.
So.
Yeah, Jim, I see, there wouldn't be any changes in the conditions. It's basically just a revision of the as-built with the location of the house and garage.
Yeah, so for me, I must admit, I'm sorry, I must admit that there were open orders of conditions on this somehow. I thought this was a new proposal. So, Vice Chair Burt, give us a quick poll here, de minimis or amended order of conditions?
De minimis.
Mr. Susan,
De minimis, Susan Karen.
Mr. Craig,
De minimis, Craig Hannafin.
Mr. Joe,
De minimis.
yeah, Commissioner Rick.
I originally thought that the septic was new, but now that I know that it's the same, I'm on board for de minimis.
Yeah, I'm in the same place as that's on me. I didn't realize we had open orders of conditions, and that this is just a minor change to those. I'm fine with that as well. So I'll like to make a motion that we accept this as a de minimis activity. I'd look for a second on that.
Rick Carberry, second.
Did you get an Art, did you pull?
No, I'm gonna go de minimis as well, yes.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, Arthur. I do that to you all the time, Arthur, but I knew I had my four.
Okay. No
I knew I
problem.
had my four. You gotta speak up on me, Arthur. I'm gonna put you at the top of the list, I think, yeah.
Art, you're too timid, Art,
All right, we have a second from Rick, so we're gonna say,
You're timid, Art, going forward.
roll call vote. Arthur, please.
Art Lagi, yes.
All right.
Wait,
Commissioner,
you had a second there? You got a second, Jim?
Rick seconded.
Thank you.
Commissioner Rick,
Rick Carberry, yes.
Mr. Joe,
Joe Ring, yes.
Mr. Craig,
Craig Hannafin, yes.
Susan,
Susan Karen, yes.
Vice Chair Burt,
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Jim Kilcoyne is yes. I didn't miss anyone, did I? Went out of my normal order. Okay, so we have that as 7-0, Bill?
I got it.
Okay.
Good job, Greg. Good job, Kirsten.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thanks to the snows. Enjoy your new property. Now we'll move to B2. This is 16 Joyce Street. Mr. Beradario, I think I saw him earlier.
Right here, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, there you are. Okay, great.
How are you?
All right. So I spoke to Mr. Am I pronouncing that right? Daddario?
Dario, it's fine, yes.
Daddario? Yeah. So I spoke to Mr. Dario last week regarding this project. And so that may be a reason why I haven't seen a whole lot in your packet. I think this is pretty straightforward, not being a de minimis. So he's looking for just clear direction to move forward with his projects so he can get quotes out and he knows exactly where he stands. Just a quick for the commission. About 8 years or so ago, the town came in and put a seawall on the Seaward side, as well as then wrapping around down the egress for the beach. There was some loss of some trees as a result of putting in the seawall as a result of town action. Subsequent to that, they left as we may remember, the issues we had this summer with the staging area, not in good shape as far as beach sand. He spent some time trying to landscape it and get things going and spent about $5,000 or $6,000 on plants. He's got it pretty well encapsulated in a cement area. He is looking to do a project that is limited, and I will let you take it from there.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just so everybody knows, my name is Jim Daddario. This is my wife, Sue. We own the property at 16 Joyce Street in Marshfield. As the chairman was telling you, we've owned the house. I think we purchased it in 2005. We have some exterior structures on the house, some decking and an old balcony that was part of the house when we purchased it. I think the condition of them probably they're 20 plus years old at this point. They are in need of some repair. We have talked to some contractors on doing some of this work for us. And through that dialogue, we've had discussion with the building department, Andrew Stewart, and Bill was nice enough to have a conversation with me also about this, which, brings us here today to discuss this project. So, what I'm looking for today is some guidance on, accomplishing what we want to get done. And just to give you some specifics, in addition to repairing, refurbishing these exterior deck structures that we do have, the only couple added things are there's a couple additional steps we would like off of one side of the deck to have easier and safer access to one side of our home. We also are looking to potentially add about 50 square feet to the front part of this, the existing deck, to help aid in the repair of the balcony, which would be directly above this area, more from a support standpoint. And the third thing as part of this project is there is a lower level deck that's approximately 220 square feet we'd like to completely remove to expose right at the ground level area and create some usable space in that area for some planting or a sitting area right directly on the ground. So those are, the areas that we've had discussions with both the building department and Bill and I discussed it a bit. And, that's where we're looking for some guidance on how we can move forward with potentially doing some of this work.
Great, thanks, Mr. Summarize, we'll take a little poll on this and we can move forward on it. It's basically adding 3 feet in previously disturbed, supports up to support the upper balcony, and removal of how many square feet of existing deck?
About 220 square feet.
All right, obviously jurisdictional. I would like to take a poll quick on not this being an NOI, but an RDA.
Jim, real quick, can we get those 3 things so that the minute guy can take them down? So we have that, because we don't have any detail. This would be helpful.
I think it was
220 square feet removal. I got that one. What's the other thing?
That's the removal.
I got it.
And about adding 50 square feet to the front part of the deck,
The balcony.
which again is part of a support aspect to the upper balcony.
Got it.
And then a small set of steps off of back corner of the deck to give us some access to the side part of the yard, which right now there is no access. We have to walk around
Got it.
the entire frontage of the house to get there.
Approximately how many square feet do you think? Maybe 8 to 12 or something?
That front part?
No, the small set of steps. Yeah.
Oh, the steps?
Yeah.
Yeah, if that, yeah.
We'll call it 10. Okay. Very good.
All right, so I'd like to just make a quick
Hey,
poll.
Jim, just quickly,
Yes.
Sure.
you're familiar with this one. We haven't seen any drawings or anything. Where do you tend to lean on this? Would you
Yeah,
mind?
I think this is I don't think this is an NOI. I think this is a straight, easy jurisdictional RDA with a positive for and then a negative.
Great, thank you.
It'll bring in plans, certified stamp plans, so we can see them at the time and for approval. I'd like to make just a quick poll on that. Susan,
I would go RDA.
Commissioner Craig,
RDA.
Mr. Joe,
RDA.
Mr. Rick,
Yeah, I'm on board RDA.
Vice Chair Art. Sorry, not Vice Chair Art. All right, I'm always promoting you.
It's all right. Art Loggy, RDA.
Jim is
Vice Chair Burt. There we go. Looking at one, talking to the other.
RDA.
Okay, Jim Kilcoyne is too. So I'd like to make a motion that we accept this proposal this evening to come back with a formal stamp plan RDA and with Commissioner Susan again, and we'll look for a second first.
Susan Karen, yes. Oh,
right,
Susan
well-
Karen, second.
Okay, and we'll let you go first too.
Okay. Susan Karen, yes.
Commissioner Craig,
Craig Hannafin, yes.
Commissioner Joe,
Joe Ring, yes.
Commissioner Rick,
Rick Carberry, yes.
Commissioner Arthur,
Art Loggy, yes.
Vice Chair Burt,
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
and Jim Kilcoyne, yes. Okay. So there you go, Mr. Dyer. You
Thank
passed
you.
There's an IDA, you can work with the Bill Grafton. He'll set you up with the
Very good.
need to file.
To streamline the process for Mr. Didari and his wife. So I heard an RDA unanimous, and I heard an engineer drawing. Is that correct?
Correct.
Got it, for the record.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yep,
Thank you very much.
you're very welcome. So now we'll move on to, I should have done this earlier. I do apologize. We do have some continuances this evening in case anyone's on for the continuances. Read them quickly and we'll do the ratification vote later. It's Adelaide Lot 9, Adelaide lots 10 through 13, South River Street, which is SE 422893. So if anyone's here for those are continued. Okay. Next, we'll move on to the public meetings and hearing session of the meeting. The first one is.
Wait, Jim. There were
Yeah,
two
yeah.
more business items, B3 and
Oh, really?
B4. Yeah, B3,
Oh,
Jim
yes,
is.
yes, that's totally my mistake. Okay, cool.
Yeah, no, don't worry.
Which is
This
Sherman
one's
is-
short because we're going to table the John Sherman Estates. Art and I are scheduled to have a conversation with Greg Morris, who was here, and we will catch him and be having a conference call with him. I did get an update from Andrew Stewart, Art and Commissioners, so I will, he's the building commissioner. I will give you an update later, but that will proceed. So this one would be tabled. And then B4, if you want me to just lead it quickly, Mr. Chairman, I will.
Go.
There is a new certified abutters list that the assessors have decided to use. In lieu of getting 5 or 6 different types of assessors lists from different departments, assessor decided to consolidate them. So this form is innocuous. It's the same form that's been used before. And I think I sent it to you, so you saw it. Anybody can fill it out. And I just would like to, for formality, approve it, get the commission's approval so that nobody says I'm using a form that wasn't approved by the commission.
Are you requesting a ratification vote for this new form, Bill?
Yeah, it's procedural because, you know,
Okay, I'd
you
like
you
to
can
make
have
a
all the
motion
fun you
that we
want with it,
accept-
but it's
I'd like
a
to make
no-brainer.
motion that we- I'd like to make a motion that we accept the new form that we've all viewed for the official butters list form. Look for a second.
Second,
Art
Greg
Loggy.
Hennepin.
Okay, wait a minute. I heard a little battle there. I heard Susan, I heard Craig, and I heard Art. Tim and Art's getting this one.
I will defer to Craig. I
No.
think.
I'm giving it to you
Roll
in
call.
honor of your
Roll
timidness.
call vote to accept Mr. Susan,
Susan Karen, yes.
Mr. Craig,
Greg Hennepin, yes.
Mr. Joe,
Joe Ring, yes.
Mr. Rick,
Rick Carber, yes.
Mr. Art,
Art Loggy, yes.
Vice Chair Burt.
Bill O'Donnell, yes.
Jim Kilcoyne is a yes. Okay, Bill, now we've got what we're done for you, right?
We should probably make those 3 continuation call-outs right now and vote them through. We can
No.
catch them on the back end if you want, but I know you just called them
I
out.
already, Bill.
Yeah.
We're doing the back end as I previously announced. I announced that they were heard.
Understood. I missed that.
Thank you very much. No problems. All right, so we now we will, this is for the second time, move the public hearings portion. And it is Brewster Road, 2887, and the hearing officer is Vice Chair Burt.
Okay, thank you. This is a continuation. I see Attorney Creed here. I'm not sure about Attorney Creed. Are you presenting or is Terry? I see Terry here also.
I'll be the one doing the talking tonight.
Okay, you have the floor.
Well, I learned on Friday, actually Saturday morning, that your chosen peer review consultant had run out of money. I sent you all an email. I hope you all got it and that you've read it. Could I get a confirmation that you've all read it?
No, this is not a Q&A session, Attorney Creed.
Okay, we can go that route if you wish. I'll go over it. You folks,
Attorney Creed, excuse me for interrupting you, but we understand modified Robert's rules. The applicant has 5 minutes to present a concise bit of information that has to do with the project at hand, which is the request of this applicant for us to conduct a vote this evening.
so you're going to conduct a vote this evening.
Why are we on the agenda?
Oh, I don't know. You don't have a final report from your peer reviewer. And as I understand it, you're not going to get a final report from your peer reviewer until they get more money.
Mr. Creed, with all due
Sorry to jump
respect,
in.
you can-
Okay, hang on.
Chair Burt, I will let you handle it, Vice Chair.
I'm the hearing officer. Attorney Creed, would you like to proceed with your explanation, which we chose a peer reviewer. We're waiting on his report. There seems to be a breakdown in communication, but we were aware on February 12th that this issue with the funds was existed. We thought it was conveyed, but
It was
proceed
not.
with your statement.
So we actually didn't know anything confirmed until roughly the 17th or 18th. We were told that the money was starting to dwindle. That's basically what I'll say. By the 17th or 18th, I was told that it was almost out. So I asked for an update in the weekly report on the 19th. That information was put into an email. And then Terry and I talked, I can't remember if it was Monday the 22nd or Monday the 23rd, or Tuesday the 23rd. Sorry for my bad there. And that was an email to Terry, including the weekly report from the 19th of February. So this has kind of been flushed out as we've gotten the information. I just got the invoice today, so it's all evolving. And the hours don't seem that terribly off. It's just there wasn't enough at the bill rate. And I can share all that. So that's more in line with what actually happened.
Well, since I only have 5 minutes and you've taken up some of it.
I took up about 5 minutes. I would just say that.
Yeah, well, I don't want to get cut off on the modified Robert's Rules of Order, which I can't find anywhere, but that's neither here nor there. I want to point with regard to the consultant's fee issue. I want to point you to your own regulations, section G, which states that the consultant's fees shall be reasonable costs and expenses, shall be reasonable cost and expenses in accordance with the following schedule at section 9. You folks didn't follow that schedule. This is a project of up to $100,000, a question you never asked us. And the consultant's fee that you list in your regulations is $1,200. You hired an $8,400 consultant, which we objected to at the time, was 10 times more than the low bidder, 3 times more or 2 times more than the next highest bidders. All 3 middle bidders had closed-end contracts, which meant that their amount of billing would not exceed their bid. We didn't object at the time on the hope and based on the comments made by all of you that this peer reviewer had a better proposal that would cover all of your questions. Well, as I understand it, no report has been done. Only a draft review has been completed, and they may be looking for thousands of more dollars to conduct their final report and submit it to you. That's wholly unacceptable. It's outrageous. And to state, because I have the emails that state that they've told you that they're not going to produce anything until they're paid. That's piracy. And it's ridiculous.
At this point, I think any additional comments you might have on that line, you could take it up with town council.
Okay, if that's the route you want to go, because I want these questions that I submitted to you answered before another dime of my client's money goes into this slush fund for GEC. It's just simply not going to happen until such time as we're assured that the consultant is going to be properly managed. I don't see how a consultant that bid $8,400 on a job that shouldn't have cost even half of that ran out of their budget. And why were you not informed when they were at 75%? In point of fact, the chairman sent an email on February 17th to Terry McGovern, which reads, Terry, impressive amount of work and data. I know you're getting tight on third-party funds. Will you need another tranche of funding, or are you and Goldman good, Jim? A tranche of funding? Are we Goldman Sachs? Is that how the commission looks at my client? Or are we going with the secondary meaning of tranche, which is to cut a slice of meat? Because that's what my client feels like right now.
Mr. Hearing Officer,
Enough, Attorney Creed. Have you got anything further germane to,
What? We don't have a peer review
Mr. Hearing
report.
Officer. I'd
How
like to be
how
heard.
can we respond? How can we present anything without a peer review report? The only
you,
reason,
you have a modified project from what we've seen before. Does Mr. McGovern want to present that?
Terry, go ahead.
Just one moment. Joe Ring, was it you that had?
Yeah, I would like to point out that Mr. Creed has been what I would call disrespectful, and he has actually chastised staff members for being that way. I don't think this should continue. Let's be more civil, please. Especially given your history of comments in the past.
Really, my history of comments in the past. Okay, we can explore that.
Are we ready for
Terry, go
Mr.
ahead.
McGovern?
Okay, with Bill's permission, I'd
Yes,
like
Terry.
to share a screen, and
Bear with me.
I will be brief.
Yeah,
I gotta
Terry.
find- I gotta
this-
find you here, Terry. I think
Before you
I'm up-
start, Terry, if you could keep this at a pretty high level, we do have to get the review from Brian Donahue, but you can bring us up to date on the latest revisions to the project.
With all due respect, Mr. Hearing Officer, just real quick, I think Terry's probably gonna give us some good terra firma here, pun intended. So I got a feeling that this project has advanced.
Okay, hopefully everybody is able to see my screen at this point. And I'm going to attempt to be brief here, but hit the content as best I can. On the 17th, I sent out all of the plan revisions and drainage revisions, and my exchanges with Mr. Donahoe in the intervening time period was to basically come up with the best treatment train solution that respects not only the wishes of the commission that we try to maintain some setback to the wetlands, but at the same time provides the required treatment to an outstanding resource water, as well as provides some method of recharge, which would lie outside of the abutting well setbacks. And unfortunately, it was kind of a brief exchange with Mr. Donahue, but enough to get us on the same page that effectively what we have done is to reconfigure the bottom part of the drainage so that we are using a combination of, and if I can get this to zoom in just a little bit, using a combination of a pea-stone diaphragm along the edge of our pavement below the last catch basin, which is still at the corner of Chilton Street as previously proposed. That pea-stone diaphragm will then extend to a vegetated filter strip in between, which will basically be a grassed filter strip, which will extend to a shallow rain garden for treatment purposes, not for recharge purposes. We have a construction detail that shows that it's underlain with sandy loam or impervious material. That rain garden will then discharge via a stone filter berm to our detention basin at the lowest point, which we've kept the basin above the AE flood zone. Basically, our top of our dike is coincidental with that AE flood zone, although Mr. Donahue didn't seem as though that was an issue. And our outfall extends just beyond that into our final outfall and stilling basin, extend just into 25 feet off of the wetland, which your performance standards do allow. We are showing in the catch basin, the downstream catch basin, a first defense treatment unit. We use these at the Green Harbor Marina site, where you have a much higher chance of a pollutant loading in an area where there's a lot of fueling and paint scraping, etc. So this is the same unit that's used at the Green Harbor Marina. And we've provided the required minimum amount of recharge along Brewster Road over to the southwesterly side, if you will, in an area kind of along a gravel existing area that's just below the garage of the folks across the street, the Jacobsons. And you can see the well and the SAS setbacks, these overlapping blue lines, so that we place that recharge outside of the overlapping setbacks. So it took a little bit of wrestling with the treatment train to get it to a position. And this is based on a particular section of the stormwater management standards. I believe it's volume 2, page 16, 17. There are a couple of tables that specifically refer to that I enclosed in the drainage. Brian Donahoe thought I was on the right track with this. But again, you know, he hadn't completed his review at this time. So we feel that the most important thing is that we've respected the abutting neighbors' well setbacks with respect to recharge. We actually have to even respect our own because we have a well as also in place. And we're providing from what directly out of the stormwater management standards shows to be the recommended treatment train. So I think we've made significant changes and significant progress. Obviously, I'd like to see Mr. Donahoe's confirmation of that, ultimately given the questions posed via the abutter's attorney. So with that, I'm going to end my presentation.
Okay,
Thanks
thank
for
you,
being
Terry.
concise.
I want to open it up to Bill in a second, but just while we're on this subject, could you pan out slightly and show catch basin 1?
Yes, catch basin 1 is still uphill where it was previously shown. Let me just get to the other page. I'll go out to the larger plan. Just give me.
Okay, my point is catch basin 1 flows to catch basin 2.
Correct.
Does the water that's coming from there, does that go through the Defender unit also?
Yes, it does. And catch basin 1 has an oil gas hood in it. So you have a kind of a first pass at pollutant removal, if you will, because we're going to put an eliminator hood, which is basically a hood that goes down about 3 feet. It acts like basically like a T on a septic tank, where you try to filter out what are called fogs, oil and grease, fats, oils, and greases. So anything that would be a hydrocarbon or a pollutant floats to the surface. Your eliminator hood helps keep that from getting into the treatment train to begin with. And Pat Brennan, who reviews for the town, specifies that we put these in WRPD catch basins. So again, we're using something that's a commonly recommended treatment by the planning board's review engineer. That's going to then go into the first defense unit. So by the time you've got water coming out of that second catch basin, it's actually been through 2 treatment processes.
Okay,
and the specs for the treatment, the specs for the first defense unit were included in the drainage submittal, including its own operation and maintenance schedule. The specifications are actually shown on the plan as well.
and then how does it flow from the Defender? What's it do? Go first to the leach pits, and if those are overwhelmed, then it goes to the detention basin?
Correct. So it will handle about, I think the number right off the top of my head is around 13 or 1400 cubic feet of recharge. We're using that 1 inch of rainfall, which is required in an area that sheds to an ORW. That was a constant even the first time. So we're showing the required 1 inch of treatment rainfall. That will discharge to the leaching pits. When they surcharge, that will eventually make its way back via the manhole. There'll be no other no other flow getting into that treatment train, and that will go into the detention basin. So it's gone through two forms of treatment, which meet the total suspended solids removal by the time it discharges. The strip, the pea stone diaphragm, the vegetated filter strip, the rain garden acts as a surface, because again, we're trying to make sure we don't dam water up in the direction of Mr. Oaks. Everything is trending downhill. You can actually see on the screen, I start at 11 down to 10.5 at the top of my rain garden, 10 at the basin, and the bottom of my detention basin is around 7. So we're shedding, as we always have been, we've been shedding everything away from Mr. Oaks's property. And that small L-shaped portion of pavement below the catch basin will receive treatment via this secondary treatment train of the pea stone diaphragm, grass filter, rain garden into the detention basin. And again, it's laid right out clear step by step in the stormwater management regs.
Okay, thank you. Now I'd like to open it up for Bill's comment.
You know, I don't have as much as I'd like to say. I'm with Terry. It's like you'd like to have the report from Brian. I think that his work pivots off that, and my comments pivot off that too. I'm going to basically tell you, as I would tell you in the beginning, I'm not a stormwater expert. What I can do is I can provide you oversight on that once I have that stormwater report. So I'm going to leave it there, not to agitate any of the processes that are underway. I think Terry's done a nice presentation. It would have been more helpful if we had, you know, the third party to help round it out, which I hope we can get there.
Okay, that's good. Thank you, Bill. I'd like to open it up for questions or comments from the other commissioners.
Yeah, I've got one, Bert. Terry, does the detention basin discharge?
Yes, it does.
Where does that water go?
Okay, so that, let me get back onto the blow up sheet here and make sure I have the right. Okay. That's going to discharge into a small stilling basin via a 12-inch pipe. We actually have a smaller 4-inch pipe next to it to make sure that that basin drains out as completely as possible, so that we're not unnecessarily holding and creating a mosquito breeding ground, even though we're right next to the river. But it discharges into a stilling basin, which we've shown a detail of. It's basically just a small trap rock settling basin, of which we have a detail on. And that's still going to be just inside the 25-foot no disturb. But at a point, you can see the major trees that we're attempting to save. This is actually in an area where there's just a lot of, there actually isn't much there. There's a lot of, basically a lot of knotweed and some briars. I actually have the edge of the abutting kind of lawn area of the Jacobsons shown here as a little bit of a dash line where it's unfortunately gray, so that one's a little faint. But we're about half the distance, or about 20 feet into that thicket of brush, well downhill from where their lawn area is, and on our own property within that drainage easement that we're preserving.
Okay, thank you, Terry. I mean, I think you've done a really nice job of iterating this, over several revisions, and I can only imagine that Brian Donahue or Donahoe must have usurped some hours huddling with you and counseling with you as you've done design and redesign. And it just strikes me that this is a very complex project. That house is going in a beautiful spot overlooking the marsh and the river, surrounded by resource areas. A street needs to be built. A very complicated stormwater management system needs to be built. None of us are stormwater management people. So this is an expensive project overall, not only the house, but the road, stormwater management, engineers, lawyers, and everything else. And I've been in that area when it's been raining before, and there is a lot of water that comes down that big hill, comes down that street. So speaking, from a Concom basis, I think we need to get this right. And, I can only imagine that, a $10,000 cost to make sure this is right from our perspective is probably a very small percentage of the overall total project. And I just want to make sure we get this right. And I'm looking forward to the Goldman report as well. And last comment is we've had Goldman do some other work for us, and they are a bigger company. They do have more overhead, but they do real high quality work that we trust.
This is Art Loggy. I second that. I agree with everything that Rick said.
Thanks, Art.
Other commissioners?
Vice Chair Burt?
Yes, sir.
I concur with that. That's why we chose this applicant, because it's a challenging piece of property. It's a beautiful piece of property, a lot of resources overlapping, a lot of water. And Terry seems to have a good working relationship, and they've made a lot of progress, and that requires billable time for all sides. But I think we're getting close, and that was what my letter and the spirit of my letter was trying to say. So I think we're at the point, Vice Chair, that we've had multiple updates. I don't think we need to continue to do public updates on this. I think when someone asks to be on the commission's agenda, it's for us to make a decision on their project. So, I mean, I think the commission is ready this evening because they're on the agenda, that we could actually make a vote on this project. Unless the applicant wants to ask us to continue. That would be up to the applicant, but since it's on our agenda by their request, we are prepared to make a vote.
Well, let's finish the process, Jim. I agree it's a complex project. It's also basically it's a case of reverse engineering, because you're trying to fit all this into a confined area. It's not like a new subdivision where you could pick and choose where the drain area would be. But I would like to open it up for public comments.
Good evening, commissioners. This is Kim Croa, Baker Braverman, Barbadoro.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Attorney Crowe, I did make a mistake. Were there any other commissioners that wanted to speak?
Well, Vice Chair Burt, the point I was trying to make is that when you come on the agenda as the chairman, you're requesting us to make a vote. Okay? So we're prepared to make a vote. So we don't want to keep on seeing, not this project or any project, 5-6 times for bi-monthly updates. The applicant can come to us when they're done. And as far as, I think my perspective from party, that was our choice, was a 7-0. It's not necessary that they have the third party summary to us. What is for them to come to us and say, you want us to vote on something, and then the commission can decide, not being experts on this and not having expert advice, to make a decision whether we have enough information to take a vote. So thank you for allowing me to clarify that.
Thank you. Were there any other commissioners? Okay, in that case, I'd like to open it up to the public, back to Attorney Crowe.
Thank you, commissioners. And while I do agree that the commission could clearly vote on the application tonight, I do think it would be in the best interest at this point, with the amount of time and resources that the peer reviewer has put into this project, and the amount of time and resources that Terry McGovern and Attorney Creed and the team have put into it as well. It does appear that they've taken some steps to really look at the area closer in the critical area and look more towards some of the abutters' concerns. We still have some outlying concerns. Those are in the November 30th email that Bill Grafton forwarded on to the peer reviewer also, with the request that the responses to those be included in the report. Although specific components of the project are different, the questions that we had put together are more of a general nature. And I looked closely at the plans. We looked at them together as a team, and we looked at the questions, and we do think that the majority of our continual concerns are still covered with those questions. So we would also ask that the applicant agree to continue, and that the commission would continue the the hearing and wait for the peer review report so that we also could understand the practical aspects of how this project is actually going to affect our properties in the critical area there.
Thank you. Is there any further public comment? Well, again, I think I speak for the commission that we would like to see the completed peer review and continue until we get that. I'd like to go back to the applicant and have us tell us your preference. Attorney Creed, are you there?
Oh, I'm here. First, I want to state for the record that I disagree with Chairman Kilcoyne. We didn't put ourselves on the agenda tonight for a vote. We put ourselves on the agenda because the commission hired a peer reviewer, and we were waiting for that report. And our consulting engineer worked with them to get that finalized, and we were hoping to get both the presentation and the report tonight so that you folks could make a full decision. What Chairman Kilcoyne is suggesting is basically whipsawing us. We can either go forward and get a vote tonight, which I can read the tea leaves is probably going to be a denial, or we can continue. As long as the continuance is not charged against us because you folks need that report, that's fine by me. On
Okay,
behalf of the applicant.
I would not be inclined to charge it against you.
Thank you.
So that's up to the commission as a collective body, but I think the report could have come in earlier. If there was an infinite amount of hours, it might have come in earlier. I'm just making an example. And then it doesn't necessarily have to arrive at a meeting. The commission needs adequate time to get feedback from both Terry McGovern and from Brian Donahue, the third party. They're the experts. Then there's a clear and concise and clear and convincing information present. You might get comments from me. You might have your own insight. That takes time to digest. So it doesn't always arrive at a meeting. And you always vote at meetings. You vote to continue and you vote to deny, approve, or approve with conditions. Typically, that's the way it goes.
Vice Chair Burt, I just do want to make a clarification. We have a defined published process that if we are on the agenda, we want to make a vote on what you're proposing to us. We have a process that says if you don't have the information to have us make a vote because you requested to be on our agenda, then there is a process to get off the agenda and to have a continuance, as I announced earlier. In this instance, the applicant did not ask for a continuance. So the assumption of all the commission is to come prepared for a vote when we're not asked for advance for a continuance. So I'm just saying in the future to any and all parties, we have that process. Please respect the process. And if you come to the commission and you don't request a continuance prior to that respecting the process, then be prepared that we will be able to make a vote. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Point of order.
I'm not sure who that was.
That was me. Point of order, Attorney Creed.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
So I did not find out until Saturday that there would be no report. So apparently I'm supposed to be omniscient and know that I need to continue something when I don't know that the purpose for the continuance was to present the consultant's report. I just want that on the record.
For the record,
Mr. Grafton, hold on a second. Mr. Attorney Creed, let me help you then. All right.
Please do.
Okay. So we have a process. If you didn't know and the process date is up to let us know, all right, which was way before the other day, then you're supposed to ask for a continuance or be prepared for a vote. Your lack of knowledge of whether the third party was in doesn't really germane to the subject. It's the date that you're supposed to notify the commission if you don't have enough information for us to make a vote. If you don't tell us by that date, the assumption of the commission is to come prepared to make a vote. So I'm glad you gave me the opportunity to explain the process. And so I don't wish to go back and forth anymore. I'm sure Mr. Graff can explain the process more clearly to you, so we don't go through this again.
I'm just gonna give a specific with regards to this. You know, we spoke on Tuesday, Terry and I sent an email off. It contained the February 19th Donahoe weekly report that asked for a specific amount of money. We had that at the end of that week, we knew where we were, and that was conveyed. I think it was a Tuesday. I'm pretty positive I have the email. I can send that to you, Jay, if you need it.
I have the emails.
Okay, the 23rd is the one I'm referencing, and there were about 12 to 15 attachments, and one of them was a 2/19/2021 from Donahoe weekly reports. The beauty of the weekly reports is they're concise for Terry and the third party put down the progress reports, including nothing. That's okay with me. I need to know. That's all.
At this point, I'd like to make a motion to continue. Do we have a date we need to continue to?
Well, this is the rub. It looks like we're gonna need funds to get the report done from Donahoe that's gonna allow Terry to either say my plans work or my plans needs final tweaking. I think that's where he is. He needs that key in order to finish it. That requires funding. The number that the February 19th said, is everybody ready? He said 4,000. I don't know if anybody's going there or not, but that's what he said in the email.
Okay, is that, I don't believe that is up to the commission to take action on, is it?
Well, you need the report, you need clear and convincing information to make your determination. And that's the best interest of all
No, we
parties.
don't need the report. What we need is for the applicant to tell us that they have given us the final information that we need to make a decision. We don't need the report. That is up to the applicant. The applicant make that decision, Bill. We can't require them.
Sorry, I titrated it down to the fine things.
So why don't we let the applicant tell us when they would like to get back to us, knowing that if they don't have enough information, that they'll continue in respect to process deadline timelines.
Well, I'm hearing for the first time what the amount that the peer reviewer may, quote unquote, may want. I need to know what
We're asking a direct question is, when would you like to continue to?
And it's not a yes or no answer, Chairman Kilcoyne. I don't know how much the amount of funding is necessary for the peer reviewer to complete his report. I need that a number in order to tell you how long it's going to take for us to get that together. We're not an ATM.
Would you
Right.
Would
Fair
you
enough.
like to be on the next meeting, Attorney Creed?
Well, I'd like to know when the next meeting is.
Sure.
It's going to be on March 16th, and the following one is April 6th.
Let's go for April 6th. Because I have other
Okay.
questions that I need to get answered through town council.
Thank you,
4/6/2021. We
Okay, I'd
need
like to make a
mechanism so that
motion
we
to
don't have to
continue
wait for that
until,
meeting on the 6th. Okay. Can I just state a
What,
couple
Bill?
things? Go ahead, Brian. Bert.
What do you want to state, Bill?
I think we need a mechanism if this is going to be handled not in a public meeting, which is okay. I mean, if the final amount, somebody says to me, get Donahoe to send a final quote, whatever, I need that mechanism in place. The contract needs to get updated. It's a little bit of work.
The chair may correct me if I'm wrong, but you're our administrator. We've chosen the peer reviewer. The process is in effect. If he needs more funding, you need to go over it with the applicant. I think does the commission have to weigh in on that?
I don't think so. That, if
No.
Then I think you and Attorney Creed can work it out.
fair
The,
enough.
Assistance of town council.
Okay, fair
So
enough.
I'd like to make a motion to continue the hearing till, was it April 6th?
April 6th.
Okay.
Have I got a second?
Art Loggy, second.
Thank you, Art. Roll call vote. Joe?
No.
I'm sorry, Joe?
Joe Ring, no.
Joe Ring, no. Okay, Art?
Art Loggy, yes.
Okay, Susan Karen?
Susan Karen, yes.
Craig Hannafin?
Craig Hannafin, yes.
And Rick?
Rick Carberry, yes.
And Jim?
Jim Kilcoyne, yes.
And I'm a yes, so it's
610.
6 yes, 1 no.
It's 610 is what it is. Okay, duly noted.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
Jay, we'll be in touch.
Give me a call.
Yep. All right.
Okay. So I want to duly note that that was 36 minutes of discussion to continue.
Yeah, I know.
So we'll now move on to Beach Street, 126 Beach, and here's Craig.
Bill, can you confirm that taxes and fees are in order
Yes.
and
Madam
abutters
Mayor,
notified?
hang on 1 second. Taxes on 217 have been paid. Butters 224, which file number 223. Fees were paid in 216, and the legal ad was sent on 217 and posted on 224. Joe Ring, thank you for that. And you're all set, Madam Hearing Officer.
Thank you. This is an elevation of a single-family home and an addition of a deck. Who is here to present for this?
Hi, good evening. This is John Zimmer with South River Environmental. Apologies, I had to get off mute there. This is hopefully a fairly straightforward project. The property is located at 126 Beach Street, which is if you're heading down Beach Street towards the parking area, it's the last house on the right before you get to the bridge crossing. Some of you may be familiar with it because it appears that there's a salt marsh mitigation area right on the other side of the bridge near the house. So the lot itself is only about 5,500 square feet in area. There's some new ownership there, and they're looking to raise the elevation of the house to make it compliant with the flood regulations. It's not on a barrier beach. It is not within a coastal dune. So they're looking to replace it with a solid foundation with flood vents. And then to the rear of the house to create a new deck system. There's some existing decks there now that are going to be taken down and replaced with a single deck. There's really not much vegetation within the property. Right now, it's a lot of scrub stuff. There's a little bit of red cedar at the limits, but aside from that, it's a little bit of long grass and some sand. The other thing that they would like to do is resurface the parking area and the driveway with stone dust. I believe it's stone dust now. So they just want to basically raise the elevation a little bit to help the drainage from the property. That's about it in a nutshell. Happy to answer any questions.
Do you have comments, Bill?
Yeah, I saw John's line. John, did you use the spring high tide elevation or by plants when you were doing the wetland delineation?
I went by plants because it's required. You have to have the salt marsh vegetation and the high tide line. It's not just based on the high tide line.
All right. No, I just was looking at the fact that the state uses the spring tide elevation for salt marsh. Okay. What about going by plants? In the rear of the shed, there are a lot of shrubs back there. Would you agree that they're high tide bush?
I know that there was some high tide bush back there. I flagged that back in December.
It's conservative. I get it. I'm calling it out for reasons. Would you say that inside the lawn, inside the fence, there were some Spartina patens also creeping in?
There may have been a little bit. It was up along the edge. I mean, which is why I flagged it.
Fair enough. There are some large concrete blocks in the rear near the high tide bush. I sent you some pictures, commissioners. If you didn't get a chance to see it, there's no need to. They're just large. They're classic for maybe footings, etc. And they're back there, and maybe they can get relocated. There's some vegetation that I personally would like to see protected by conservation markers. The neighboring lot 11 Naomi is doing a state-of-the-art coastal stabilization under ECR that was heavily reviewed back in 2017 by CZM and other entities. And I'd like to see this area get some additional protection for that purpose. I understand these are new owners. There was a shed that was upgraded at some point in time prior to their taking over. You'll see new footings in the pictures I sent. I think that they just need to be aware that any activity on this property will require permitting or review by the Conservation Commission, because everything is overlapped by A, riverfront, B, flood zone, and C, the salt marsh buffer, which is the most important buffer we have with regards to wetlands. So I thought those things were important to call out, and I thought maybe some conservation markers might do the trick. Trying to think what else I thought. That's it. Other than that, I think this project's good to go. I do note for the public and for everybody else, it might seem like this is Berry Beach Coastal Dune, but it is not. It's on the opposite side of the river. The Berry Beach Coastal Dune is over on the Bay Avenue side. And that's where pilings might be required. This house can easily go up and be elevated on a concrete foundation.
Thank you, Bill. Do any commissioners have comments?
Joe Ring. John, I didn't see any patios or walkways or anything on the plan. How are they going to get between the shed and the house and the road and the house?
The deck's gonna come off of the back of the house and extend all the way to the shed. And there's
That's what I
a,
thought.
yeah.
How about from the house to the road?
Coming out of the house down to the road?
Yeah.
I believe there's a set of stairs. Just double check my site plan here. There's an existing deck off the front that's got a stair stepping down to the front.
But I didn't see them on the plan, and I think.
Yeah, right, John. It's really important.
Well, off the front, it's existing. There's nothing proposed there.
We get it. We just had a couple of houses that are coming up tonight that kind of deviated. So we wanted to start now talking about patios and walks. Thank you for bringing this up, Commissioner Ring. Very keen eye. So if they want that, then that's going to be an amended order of conditions, John.
If you, can I just pull up the site plan for a second?
Sure.
Yeah.
Mr. Craig, the existing deck is shown on the plans we're looking at, and it's
Correct.
existing deck.
At the front of the house, yes.
Correct. So I don't know what we're talking about here.
No,
We're talking
neither
about
do I.
pathways, Jim. We're talking about additional impervious surfaces.
They're not
Other
proposed.
Yeah. I don't, there's no other impervious surfaces proposed here.
That's
so-
fair enough. Messaging is there. Okay.
Yeah, if you look on the right side of the plan, it shows the stairs coming down on the side. So, and it's understood if there's anything else that they want to do in the
Okay.
future, we would obviously need to come back.
We got it out there. That's good.
It'd be nice to include it here if they were going to do it. That's the only point I had.
Yeah, we just don't want to come back later.
Any other commissioner comments?
No, straightforward.
Bill had asked, I'm sorry, Craig, Bill
No,
had
go ahead.
asked for conservation markers. Have we got a location for them?
John, do you have access to a plan? I mean, we could do it that way, or I could work with you and basically they're to the rear of the shed, to protect that area.
Yeah, I think that's fine. If we want to put that in as a condition, we can work together and I can get a plan in by Friday or whenever you need it.
Yeah, it's due Friday at 12 noon. Let's have no more than 5 so we can ring it. It'll help the other property. The area is getting some pressure after they did the Beach Street Bridge over, okay? There is a salt marsh restoration that's offsite
Right.
from the Cohasset project underway from DOT. So we need to do.
Craig, I've got one question for John.
Go ahead.
Yeah, is the concept here, John, that most of their living area and everything outside is going to be on that deck? That's where, they'll store all their equipment and everything, that there won't be anything around the sides of the house the way they might be now?
That's correct. Yes, and they're going to keep the existing shed to store stuff in if they need to in the back.
Okay, I think for a small lot like that, that might be a pretty good concept.
Any other commissioner comments?
I have one question, Craig. I know it's a really tight lot, but is there any room to add any native vegetation in there? Anything that would help the site? I don't know if there's any room for that at all because it's so close to the marsh as it is. It was just a suggestion if anyone else had that thought.
Commissioner Karen, that's a great idea, but when the walkways come up, that'll be the mitigation.
It won't be, okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone from the public have any comments on this? Hearing none, I would like to make a motion that we close this and issue order of conditions.
Second.
Susan, okay.
Commissioner Art,
Art Lagi, yes.
Commissioner Burt,
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Commissioner Joe,
Joe Ring, yes.
Commissioner Rick,
Rick Carber, yes.
Commissioner Susan,
Susan Karen, yes.
Chairman Jim,
Jim Kilcoyne, yes.
and Craig Hannafin, yes.
Okay, it's unanimous, John. We'll talk about the 5 markers and get with Bob pretty quick, okay?
Yep, absolutely. I'll get with them in the morning on it, or we can talk in the morning and get that updated.
Yeah, let's do that immediately. I'm not gonna be here Friday, so we gotta get
Okay.
this done. Okay, thanks. Thanks, John, as always.
John. All right, we'll now move on to Prince Circle, 41 Prince Circle, SE 422910. The hearing officer again is Commissioner Craig.
Can you confirm taxes, abutters, Bill?
Oh, sorry, Craig. I have to read up the public on this.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that came too quick for me. I wasn't ready.
131, Section 4 of the Wetlands Protection Act, the Code of Town of Marshall, 294 Wetlands Protection Act. A public hearing will be held at the Marshall Conservation Commission on Tuesday, March 2nd, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. Hearing rooms, by Zoom, for a notice of intent filed by 41 Prince Street. Okay.
Okay, Bill, taxes and abutters notified?
Wow, you're still ahead of me.
Okay,
All right, Jim read the legal ad, you're all here. Abutters, 22221 notified, taxes 21721 paid. File number 223, we got that covered. Gatehouse Media and the filing fees 215-2021. Legal ad sent on 217. It was published on 224. You're all set, Madam Hearing Officer.
thank you. This is a single-family home proposing a 3-car garage addition, 2 porches and a septic repair. They are in bordering vegetated wetland. There is an intermittent stream, and the entire property is in NHESP. Mr. Zimmer, I think you are up again.
I am. Got the team back together again. Like you said, this is for single-family home improvements. It's in the buffer zone to a BVW. We're not actually impacting any wetlands here. There's a single-family residence within the property. There's an existing concrete parking pad, which is located partially, well, it's almost entirely in the 50, or it's in the 50 and the 75. That's actually going to be removed. So, at the end of the day, after they put the garage in and the additions, the limit of work is actually going to be further away from the resource area than it is now. They would like to pave the driveway. Only a portion of that is located within the 100-foot buffer zone, just to the north of the garage. The addition and the patio deck areas will be directly adjacent to the residents within disturbed lawn areas. The septic system is pretty much entirely outside of the buffer zone to the, I guess it's the northwest. And then we'll have erosion controls that we'll be putting in, at the limits of work around the back of the concrete, because there probably will be some earthwork that's associated with that to get the concrete out and then reestablish the grade and get it vegetated again. Like you did say, it is all within mapped natural heritage area. Having done quite a bit of work in that area, I'm pretty sure it's eastern box turtle. I've sent the NOI to natural heritage. I haven't seen a comment back. I did send them an email today and didn't get any response. I'm not sure if they responded to Bill or not, but I think that would probably be the only outstanding piece of information we'd need.
So they typically will respond to both the applicant and the conservation administrator, and they also respond to Liz because they know about her. So I didn't see it.
So this is going to need to be continued
Unfortunately,
yes.
until we, have that report.
Yeah. And if the commission's willing to, I'd be happy to answer questions so that, we could hopefully make it quick at the next hearing.
That'd be good.
I just want to comment, there is a fairly substantial shed and dog kennel that's in the 25, very close to the wetland line. I don't believe there were any permits on that, Bill.
Yeah, I didn't find any signs of it, John. And I had a brief chat with the Farrells, who very charming, very nice residents. And I'm not sure they knew about permanent about them or something. It got installed, it got constructed without a permit. Down almost 3 feet from the wetlands. Clearly needed a variance, John.
Right. So I guess that's something we would need to address to see if we could relocate that. I know that I believe Mr. Farrell's a state police officer and it's a first K-9 unit.
He means well. We know that.
Are there any questions or comments from commissioners?
John, can you take me through the impervious table? I'm struggling with this.
Sure. Do you have a specific question on it? So right now, the existing impervious within the property is 1,729 square feet.
Right.
There'll be an additional 3,600 square feet. Now this is within the entire lot. So this is not just with an area subject to jurisdiction.
Okay.
So the full area of the driveway, paving it down to Prince Circle, is included in that calculation.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, there's going to be an increase of about 3.38% in impervious within the overall property. Bob pulled this together. I'm not exactly sure what that 213% is there. I'm hoping that's a typo because we're not increasing the impervious 213%. But
yeah, okay.
Well, it went from like 1,700, John, to like something like 5,400 or something like that. I'm not looking at it this very moment, but
right. I guess
Jim, Rick, you're looking at it. What are the numbers? It goes from what to-
1729 to 5418.
That's
right. So
about
I guess if you're looking at the impervious over the impervious, that would be correct.
Yeah, well, there's only one kind of impervious. It's a straight impervious.
Right.
Yeah.
Any other commissioner comments or questions?
Just to confirm, John, is the dog kennel going to get moved?
I'll circle back with the Farrells unless they want to. I believe that they may be on. I know that Liz is on. If they want to address that, or we can come back, we can discuss it and get back to you. But I mean, I'm assuming that one way or the other, it's going to need to be relocated.
Craig and Bill, were you satisfied where the conservation markers are?
I think we need to relocate them up gradient, somewhat into the lawn. I personally believe this. Sorry, Madam Hero, I'm sorry, I kind of cut you there. Is that okay?
No. You know that this lawn, it goes right onto the wetland line.
Mm-hmm.
I would not be averse to seeing them move up gradient somewhat.
There's some practices going on also cutting. I did speak to them and they seem to understand that after I mentioned it. There's greenways dumping into the wetlands. Some people just don't know what, the species are and so on. And the sweet pepper bush is getting cut, the sapling maples, et cetera. So if we just stop that and then we gain back a few feet around inside the 25, it'll rejuvenate nicely. And with maybe a little help from a mitigation plan too, because 213% is a lot. There are ways of getting that number down also.
Well, we also need to recognize that 213%, the majority of it's outside of commission's jurisdiction. And
How much, John? Do we know?
I don't know the exact
Yeah,
number, but I can get that number for you.
Well,
That
it looks
would
like
be
a fair
helpful.
amount's in from what I'm seeing, but I suggested that they consider turning the driveway into gravel, and they were not adverse to it, but that's something they need to think about, If they were to go with a gravel driveway, now you're pervious, right? That immediately gets taken out, and that's a huge part of that overall impervious.
It is, Bill, but that is outside of our jurisdiction.
But that would
Most of the
to John's
driveway could
point,
be
that would
paved.
reduce the number though, right? Unless you only showed within the 100 and got an updated table.
Okay, we can take a look at that and provide some supplemental information.
Any other comments?
Last one, the neighboring lot is a street called South Point.
Bill, I think we're on commissioner comments now.
Oh, sorry.
Commissioner Craig?
Mm-hmm.
We always are interested in the amount of impervious that goes on a property. I think we have to be very careful that we do not creep into non-jurisdictional areas for any type of requirement. If they're outside our jurisdiction, they're outside our jurisdiction.
Agreed. Any other commissioners? Is there anyone here from the public? Hearing nothing, I move that we vote to continue this until we have received the natural heritage report. And at that time, John can provide us with more clarity on the impervious within our jurisdiction.
Could we go for 2 weeks? Would that be okay?
1 second. John, I would recommend a month because of the feedback from the Heritage. And I think we have a handle on that. 1 second, please. Consider that because otherwise I'll be chasing you for a letter.
Right. I'd prefer to go 2 weeks, and then if we don't hear back from Natural Heritage or we can't pull the information together, I'll request a continuance.
John, sorry, Commissioner Craig, may I make a comment?
Please do.
John, just so you know, as I don't know if you're here for the prior. So that's fine, but what we're trying to avoid is to have things on the agenda and then not have them heard because of. So there is a process and there is a timeline. And if you go in one meeting, is all I'm saying, John, is you're only gonna have a couple of days because we don't want to charge you with DWAPs because we've started to get a little lax and it's creeping right back. We're having all these things appear on the agendas on us that sort of shouldn't be there.
Absolutely. Yeah. If
your choice, John. Your choice.
Yeah. If for any reason it looks like we're not going to be able to get you all your information by next Tuesday, when the deadline is, then we will request a continuance that day.
It
Thank
puts
you,
a
John.
lot of
That wasn't
strain
so
on
much
the
for
office.
you. That wasn't so much for you, John. That was just for everyone that may be listening because it's starting to creep back into the commission again.
Understood. Thank you.
I couldn't agree more with the chair and the hearing officer on this, John. I really would like to see you move it out, but I can't convince you to do that. You have to do that for yourself. I'm not going to chase the letters. And if we show up, we don't have our stuff, you get a DWAP and it continues. I just don't want to see that happen here. I think this is a very nice family. I'd like to see it go out to 6 if we can.
No, understood. I mean, from my perspective, I'd like to take a shot at trying to get you what you need by next week. If we don't, then you'll have a continuance in hand and we won't be coming in front of you in 2 weeks.
All right.
I'll ring a second if you like.
I move that we continue. Second, Joe Ring. Commissioner Art,
Art Loggy, yes.
Vice Chair Burt,
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Commissioner Rick,
Carver, yes.
Commissioner Susan,
Susan Karen, yes.
Commissioner Joe,
Joe Ring, yes.
Chairman Jim,
Jim Kilcoyne, yes.
Craig Hannafin, yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Hey, Sean.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, but you're not getting rid of me that easy.
You said we were trying to get rid of you.
It is now 7:55. We are moving on to 257 Oak. Regulation Master General Laws 131, Section 4 of the Wetlands Protection Act, Code of Town of Marshall, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection. The public hearing will be held at the Marshall Conservation Commission on Tuesday, March 2nd, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. by Zoom to consider a notice of intent filed by 257 Oak Street, Marshfield, Mass. And the hearing officer is Commissioner Joe.
Thank you. So we have a project to make an addition to a house and to relocate a septic tank. So to begin that process, I would like to have Bill confirm that the taxes have been paid, the abutters have been notified, and that he has already set up the DEP file. I
Yes.
believe we have a number.
Okay, I've got your answers, Mr. Hearing Officer. Taxes paid on the 17th of February, letters notified on the 25th of February. You got the file number from the DEP on the 23rd of February. The files were handled on the 16th. We received the checks, the fees, that is. And the legal ad was sent on the 17th of February, and it was published on the 24th of February. Again, thank you, Mr. Hearing Officer, for helping us with that.
Thank you. And the impacted areas are a bordering vegetative wetland and an intermittent stream. I believe I see the Weymouths here. Is Mr. Weymouth like to give us an overview? Or have somebody delegated for that? Your choice, of course.
I can give a quick overview. So the plans to go out off our back the existing house 10 feet, go away from the wetlands, connecting with a mudroom, and then a 2-car garage with a new master bedroom above it. Septic tank would be relocated using Steinbeck from Marshfield to draw plans. They did the original septic plans before we moved into the property.
I think the proposed location of your addition is where your septic tank is. So
Correct. And
probably not a good idea to have the two of them in the same spot.
No, we avoid that, please.
I can put a plan up for you, Joe, if you would like.
You should be all set, Terry, because once I give you co-host, you're ready to go.
Please, if you'd like to. Makes it easier to talk.
Okay.
Thank you, Terry.
All right. As Mr. Weymouth was just mentioning, that proposed addition is going to go on the east side of the house in an area of existing driveway and gravel. We've shown it here outlined in red. A portion of that paved driveway in the rear will be removed. We'll actually have a small net decrease in impervious area on the property. And the septic tank, which was a repair we did back in 2010, I believe, because I worked on it, will be relocated inside the driveway island in line with the existing pipe. The house replumbed for it to come out the front. Impacts will be on the opposite side of the house away from the wetland. We're showing a proposed erosion control barrier coming out just beyond a little concrete pad that exists now, and just looping back to the area that they've cleared for kind of a behind the edge of the existing driveway, so that that area is protected as it does slope towards that intermittent channel. So all the disturbance will be on that side. Little area that if there's any excavation can actually be placed just below the bottom of where it says steep slope. So there should be no reason for any erosion to get over to the other side and into that intermittent channel. I believe Dick Rockwood was the architect on this, and you know, again, fairly small impact project, but in an area that we've worked in, the area, the yard area, or everything else is fairly well maintained, and it should be a very manageable project.
Thank you, Terry. Bill, do you have any comments for us?
Sure. I met the Weymouths. They're really nice people. And I looked at the wetland line and I looked at Terry's old plan. I would think it was SE 42 dash, let me find my notes. I remember 2315 somehow associated with this one. Does that ring a bell to you, Terry? And
Yeah, vaguely. It was about 10 years ago.
and I noticed there's
2010, I want to say we did
inconsistencies
it.
on the wetland line. One thing I noticed was towards the back where the property line breaks into the other neighbor's yard. And so I took a look at that. And I also noticed that the flags across the street weren't also included on this plan. When I went to the rear of the property, I found evidence of facultative plants, sweet pepper bush, and quite a few red maples. And when I took a little closer look at how this area had the changes between the 2010 plan and the current one, it became obvious that something had gotten changed. And it looks like it went off-site onto the neighbor's lot from 271. And so it looks like the wetland line is changed because there's been some alteration back there. That being said, that I think the remedy would be conservation markers back there along the property line to prevent any future use of that particular area. And we'll leave it up to the Weymouths to settle it up with the 271 neighbors. And that could potentially rejuvenate because there is a lot of clethra. As I was talking to Mr. Weymouth, he knew the name of it. Sweet pepper bush is a facultative plant and it grows prolifically. You let it alone, it'll grow back, and that's a form of mitigation in and of itself. But there's also a wetland in the back of the lot, which probably qualifies under the bylaw, isolated vegetative wetland for 400 square feet or more of FAC wet or obligate. It is not flagged properly and needs to be picked up. So I think that the flags in the front of the property for not just the purposes of this property, but any other one need to be picked up. The flagging is more than 10, is like 11 years old. So it definitely exceeds the original 3 years. That's not a big thing to pick up. And then we get this resolved in the backyard and there's no more mowing. There's no more usage of the offsite property in the wetlands, which is what it was. So that will all restore itself.
Brooke had renewed the flags coming down beside the house in November.
Yeah, Terry, if you look at them side by side, kind of like South River, we have the same kind of thing going on. There's a little inconsistency there. I can help you out with that if you want to take me to take a look at it with you.
Yeah, in practice, they looked a little different.
They're off by a fair amount, Terry.
Okay, whereabouts behind the house, you're
Between
saying?
flag 8 and about 11.
Yeah, so going back in towards the yard.
Okay, where the jog in the property line is?
Exactly, exactly. And if you look at the grades, you'll see it, what happens.
So can I just comment on that? The flags might be different there because we have an easement on the land. And so I believe flags were moved when we obtained the easement to mark where the easement went to.
Oh, what is this easement?
The easement is, it's filed with the town for 271 next to us. So that might be why we filed for it, I believe, in 2013.
So you have some kind of easement to use their property?
Correct.
Okay, so you don't have a property problem, but you have a wetland problem because there was a wetland back there based upon the 2010 line. Before you guys arrived, there was a flagging for the septic, okay, which was considered accurate to the commission. It's not consistent with the current one that Terry's presented here because of the fill that's happened in the back. We can't have that without a permit. If you have an easement, you can take a look at it, but if you're gonna fill in the backyard there, and you're allowed to because of the easement, you have to give back a 2-for-1. So let's say, Mr. Weymouth, you filled 1,000 square feet on the easement and on your own property. You gotta find 2,000 square feet somewhere in your yard to restore the wetlands. That's what happens typically. So you gotta figure it out, you know? So that's an interesting evolution. And I appreciate you, Mrs. Weymouth, for making that so crystal clear. Now the commission has more clear and convincing information to consider. Okay, that'll be interesting.
Thank you for bringing that up. Makes it a little easier, I hope, for us to move forward.
Joe, could I ask one further question on the easement?
Sure. Bert, please.
Was that Ms. Weymouth, I met you up at the house today, and you had told me about the easement. Was this something that, was this something that people before you had used as a yard for a long time and you made it legal? Or was this something that, so the area had been used?
The area had been used, yes, and he's now no longer living there in the home, but he still owns the property, Leon Perry. If you go out our back door, and technically where our back shed is on his land. And so knowing that we were eventually going to do an addition and everything, it was under the advisement where our children were playing in the backyard there to get an easement and permission to use the yard. Because he's an older gentleman in his 90s, and it was advised to us to go for the easement because we had been maintaining that area in the yard, and the people before us had also.
Okay,
When did you
thank you.
guys, when did you get the easement?
I believe it was in 2013.
Okay. Yeah, the aerials didn't show any of the shed or any of the activities back there. And the 2010 wetland line also kind of locked up where the wetland was. So I got to say this, from my perspective, I hear what you're saying. There may have been some activities, making paths, being back in there and so on. I understand. But there's stones there now. There's fill there now. Wetlands have been disrupted. So that needs to be addressed separately from your additions, in my opinion. That way your additions can go forward and we'll deal with this separately.
Okay.
But we do need the flagging the back, Terry.
Okay.
And we're gonna need soil samples to find out where the wetland is because it's gonna be a little tricky, that's all. Just we get it right.
Is there any commissioner discussion?
Not for me. No.
I hear no's. So Bill, I think that it would be compatible with your request is to make a motion to continue to finish this proposal, this NOI, and at the same time, if the Weymouths would be willing to work with Bill to resolve the wetland issues. I think I see a yes there.
Yeah, they're
so
shaking their heads.
it's
They're
nice to
nice
see. I'd like to work cooperatively and to move this along with some reflagging and conservation markers.
Would you be adverse to April 6th to give me some time to get out there with Brooke Monroe and get the job done? I got a couple of flaggings I'm gonna need to look at with her right now. Is that okay with you? I mean, I know you want the additions quick. I'll treat the one separate from the other if the commission will allow it. And that way you can move on with the additions.
So are you saying to move the whole project to the next meeting?
Continue to the April 6th to give me some time to get out there with Brooke Monroe and get the job done so that it's hopefully put them in a position so that they're all lined up for a completion on the 6th.
Do the Weymouths have an objection to that?
I mean, the only thing with that is we're waiting for this permit in order to go for the building permit and everything and then get approval from the bank. Because we were hoping to start by April.
It can only get in so many places. I mean, I'm going to just say that in appeal to both the commission and the applicants. If I have to get out there, I have to get out there. Okay.
I mean,
Just take the time.
Can we go to the next meeting? Bill?
It's not my call. I don't have the discretionary authority. I can only appeal to the commission and the applicants. That's all I can do.
Do you think you can do the things for the next meeting? Could you get out there?
I don't think I can personally handle everything that's coming up right now. No, I keep asking for the 6th and I'm going to keep doing it.
Okay.
That's what I think we need to do. Okay.
All right,
But
well,
if you tell me that that's what we have to do, then I'm going to have to do that somehow.
When you say the next meeting, do you mean in April or May?
The next meeting's March 16th.
Yeah,
I
Bill
don't
knew
think I can
exactly
get
what
out there with Brooke Monroe with the appointments I have already set up.
Is there a next meeting for April set already?
Correct, April 6th. We always
April
set it up
6th.
6 months in advance.
Are you saying the April 6th you would be ready by?
Right, what I'm trying to do is give it ample time so that I can get out there, the information gets fed to Terry. Terry provides the adequate plan, so that the commission has clear and convincing information by April 6th, and everything's wrapped up.
So then essentially by you coming out for the April 6th date, this would be approved with conditions.
Right, and then just so we're clear on that, so the next thing is you get your order conditions, it needs to get recorded, we need to sign up, and you need to have a pre-con with me, you'll have a telecon with me. It'd be better if I know who your builders are, but it's pretty much innocuous, so I'll have the meeting with your husband and you, that's fine, you know?
We'll agree to that, the April 6th.
Point of order,
Okay,
Commissioner Ring.
yes,
The commission is not able to commit to an approval of a project that we haven't seen the final plans for. The commission is not able. to commit.
And I said lined up so that they're in a position to do that.
You said yes, you said approval.
I said a position for
I
approval.
just want
so I think we're all on the same page with this one.
to be clear.
It has to go for a vote. And yes, I was going to point that out. And so what I would like to do is make a motion to vote for a continuance to the meeting of April 6th. And Bill and the Weymouths can work out the details.
Correct, we'll get that handled.
Is there a second?
Second, Craig Hannafin.
Thank you, Craig. So we'll take a roll call vote. Art,
Art Loggy, yes.
Craig,
Craig Hannafin, yes.
Susan,
Susan Karen, yes.
Bert,
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
let's see, Jim,
Jim Kilcoyne, yes.
and Rick.
Rick Carver, yes,
Not on the screen.
and Rick appreciates the flexibility of the Weymouths very much.
Yes,
I
thank you.
very much appreciate the Weymouth's flexibility also.
And so I believe that we have voted, Joe Ring votes a yes, and so I believe that brings us to a 7-0. For
Very
continu-
good. All right, we'll be in touch, Terry, soon with Brooke on a couple of things. I'll be working with you on that. Thank
Okay,
you, Mr. and
thank
Mrs.
you.
Lamb. Yep.
Thank you.
Good night, all.
Good night.
Right.
Thank you.
Good night.
Okay.
All right, we're moving on now to in compliance with regulation, Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 4, the Wetlands Protection Act, the Code of the Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetland Protection. A public hearing will be held at the Marshfield Conservation Commission on Tuesday, September, nope, this is old. It will be held on Tuesday, March 2nd, 2021, to consider a notice of intent filed by 300 Ridge Road, Marshfield. The hearing officer is Mr. Joseph again.
Thank you. This is a request for an amended order of conditions on a project that is a recently constructed house. So with that, I'd like to start off and ask Bill if he can confirm that the taxes are paid and fees have been paid, the abutters have been notified, and the DEP file is in order.
I'll confirm that for you. Taxes on 218 have been paid. The abutters on 224 were notified. The file number is old because it's recycled from the past, 8/20/2019, so the expiration date does not change. The fees were paid on 216, and the legal ad sent on 217, published on 224. You're all set, Mr. Hearing Officer.
Thank you. This is a project that is in the riverfront in a flood zone. And interestingly enough, I think we've seen projects on this street recently, and the flood zone is on both sides of the property. And it is in a buffer zone for the salt marsh, again, on both sides of the property. Let's see, is there, I think I see Mr. Follett. Would you like to help us with an overview, or are you going to delegate that?
This is John Zimmer. Oh, man.
John, you promised you weren't going away.
I know, exactly. So I'm here for one more. I'll start off, and then if Mr. Follett wants to add any additional flavor, he's welcome to it. For the record, John Zimmer with South River Environmental. This amendment came up based upon a request for a certificate of compliance for the construction of the single-family residence within the property, which was approved back in, I believe, 2019 and constructed. when the as-built plan was completed and submitted, it was evident that there were several items that were not on the original approved site plan. From my understanding that Follett's have been in contact with the commission, and several of you have done a field review. So what was done that was outside of the order of conditions? I mean, the main one was that the driveway was paved, and in the order of conditions, I believe it was supposed to be gravel. So that was completed. There's a wood platform and crushed stone base to the rear of the house has their air conditioning units on it. There's a gas meter and junction box on the side of the house for the irrigation system, some landscaping and a small paver area in the front of the house. So those things were not included in the original site plan. So the goal here is to try to come back and work with the commission to allow those to remain within an amended order of conditions so that we can get an updated as-built plan. And then what we've proposed is some mitigation to hopefully offset some of those additional items that were completed. We're proposing to relocate the conservation markers further into the property to create a wider no disturbance buffer, plant high tide bush and Virginia rose. If you've been to the property and you've gone out to the back, it's basically lawn, then it drops down. There's a little bit of shrub vegetation, then it goes right to the salt marsh. So we'd like to improve the shrub buffer there between the lawn and the salt marsh, and then plant some additional bayberry bushes along the side of the fence, as it extends back towards Ridge Road. So, obviously we're hoping that, with some mitigation that we can move forward with this. But, we're certainly open to discussion, and, I'm happy to pull up the site plan if you'd like to do that, or just open it up to questions and comments.
I think a site plan might be helpful.
Yeah, John, I'll give you that. Hang on. Site co-host. Yes, there you go. Coming your way.
All right. Go. Okay, can folks see that?
Yep.
Apologies for the sea of red on here. I took Bob's site plan and marked it up, so I tried to make it as clear as I possibly could. The items that were on the as-built plan include the driveway here, a small paver walkway to provide access from the house to the driveway. This is the gas meter and the irrigation valves on the side of the house. And then this is the platform that the AC units are on. So what we're proposing to do is basically take these conservation markers, pull them back towards the lawn or just into the lawn, provide shrub plantings along this buffer. You can see that there's not a huge slope, but there's a little slope down to the salt marsh. So we wanted to put some additional shrubs in there. And then there's an existing fence along the property boundary, is to put in some bayberry shrubs along the fence line here. It's a small lot. There's not a ton we can do for mitigation, but I think we're giving it our best shot, and are certainly open to some additional discussion on it.
Thank you. Mr. Follett, did you want to make a comment or two? I don't see that he's trying to do that, so I think I'm going to move on. Is there, let's see, I think I'm going to break from my normal tradition on this one. I usually wait until afterwards for everybody before I make many of my comments. On this project, it was a proposal in 2019 to have a smaller driveway of gravel. It basically came out from the garage. And, there was active involvement in this one. And I noticed that the Folletts did a pretty thorough due diligence with Bill in July of 2019, reviewing the proposal and going over all of the details. And in fact, if I understand correctly, the original plans were sent back for some revisions, and they did make some adjustments to the plan. And, they, I believe, took off a porch in the back and whatever. So, there was some give and take. And they eventually came up with a proposal to put the house where it was supposed to, or where it is, because it was built on an existing foundation. And then the Follettes submitted and recorded the order of conditions, which specified the driveway and the other pieces, or the driveway, et cetera. I'm going to focus on the driveway, and they were recorded in September 18. And so from my point of view, they knew that they weren't supposed to put in a blacktop driveway. And in this case, it's a larger driveway in addition to being a blacktop driveway. When I look at the platform for the air conditioning unit and the generator and the gas meter and the water meter, those are things that you need to have to support the house. And they don't really, in my mind, have a substantive impact on this because you have to have them. And to go ahead and put in a blacktop driveway when they were actively involved in permitting this process really seems to me as an active segmentation of a construction project. And we've talked a lot about segmentation and how do we deal with this? I really see this one as active segmentation with an attempt to just put in a driveway and then come back and say, will you approve it, please? There's not a whole lot of room to mitigate on this property. It's right in the marsh, almost. I actually think that this driveway should be pulled up. So usually don't do that, but this one I really have strong feelings on. And I'm looking for discussion from committee members.
I would be interested in seeing an impervious table on this property. There is not anything on the plan regarding that.
Was there one on the original plan?
No, because we didn't have it back then. The times have changed. It's been more than a year and a half that we've been requiring the impervious table. So I think Commissioner Hannafin's got a valid point for the commissioners to consider.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Rick, then I'll comment.
Thanks, Art. I guess from my perspective, the gas meter and the box for irrigation, that's not a problem. The small platform for a couple AC units and the whole house generator on the back, it's nice to have. But the movement to pave that whole driveway and make it bigger does seem to me to be a bit on the egregious side relative to, the process we normally follow. And I think it would have been nice that that there was some discussion ahead of time before they did this. I don't know if there's, I guess taking it out and putting something pervious in there would be the ideal situation. I don't know what else we could be proposed here to remedy this, but you generally got to build what gets permitted.
Okay, this is Art. I think there was agreement that shouldn't have been an asphalt drive. And it should have been pervious. And I think the only solution that I can see on a small lot like this and where it's positioned is to take the driveway out, get the asphalt out of there and make it pervious.
Commissioner Ring, may I make a comment?
Yes, Jim.
I concur with the commissioners. We've seen this a lot lately. It's happened a couple of times this meeting. We do expect people to respect timelines, respect the process, I respect your orders and conditions. And we've been struggling with that with applicants lately. So I can understand thoughts of the commission on this. I'll offer, since someone suggested maybe that, I don't see any other way out on this, I'll offer an idea. I don't know if it would be acceptable to the commission. That we take all the mitigation that has been offered. And then where Ridge Road is, we do a driveway cut and removal of, I don't know, 6, 8, 10 feet. Make it a permeable 6 to 8 by, so that would be 21 feet wide, 10 feet on each side where it enters Ridge Road, and put in cobblestones there or some type of permeable paver with permeable subsurface that would allow that water then to drain and achieve a lot of what we gave up before. The rest would be in exchange for the mitigation offered. I don't know if that idea would be enough for the commission. I just offer that as an idea.
May I speak, Mr. Commissioner, Mr. Hearing Officer?
Susan, please.
I guess my feeling is this seems to me like a major deviation from the order of conditions in an area that's really sensitive. We're in the inner riparian zone here. It's one of the most sensitive areas that we protect. So I do feel like we're not out of line to request that they remove it and replace it with something impervious as was planned originally. That's my comment.
Pervious, you mean?
Pervious, I'm sorry.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Timid Art steps up.
I think I may be the only one that hasn't weighed in yet. I think Jim's idea has some merit because if we pull it all out, then we lose the additional mitigation that John has offered in the back sides. And to Craig's point on the impervious table, I thought of that previously, but it turns out it's a very large lot. They own a lot of marsh. So when you look at the total impervious, it would still come out to be a relatively small amount. So I don't think that would really achieve what we're looking for in this case. So that's my thought.
Can I just chime in on that, Mr. Hearing Officer?
Yes, Bill.
Okay, just to Bert's point, percentage is correct, but square footage is not correct. So I agree again with Commissioner Hannafin on this one, square footage wise, and I agree percentage wise with Commissioner O'Donnell, if you get my meaning.
Yes. Bert, did we interrupt the rest of your?
No, I was finished. I think we can, I think maybe we can reach a compromise here.
Could I make another comment, Commissioner Ring? I believe the proposal of Jim's was to include the mitigation that has been provided on this plan and plus a pervious area on both ends of the driveway.
Yes, that's what I heard also.
Okay, I thought you said we would lose that mitigation.
No, if we pulled out the complete driveway.
Yes.
Okay, right, okay.
Jim, I think that was your proposal, right?
Yes, keep the mitigation that was offered by Mr. Zimmer,
Yeah.
flats, and then do a 10-foot cut on Ridge Road in the two places, make it permeable, whether it's pavers or cobbles, it doesn't matter. So then we have a nice 20-foot by 10 on one side and whatever it is, 12 and 5 on the other side.
Yeah, I like Jim's suggestion. I think mitigation in the back, moving the markers in and those plantings, and at least we'd get some drainage in the front there along the street. And thirdly, it would, I happen to like the way that looks. Pavers cut in. It'll have an aesthetic appeal as well from my perspective. It's a beautiful home, and I think that would add to it. And it's unfortunate we're here, but and we typically don't get prescriptive. But I'd like to thank the chair for thinking creatively here and making that proposal.
Mr. Hearing Officer? It's Bill calling out.
Bill,
Mr. Hearing
please.
Officer. Yeah, I noticed that we don't have John Zimmer's narrative or the typical planting plan or on this table. There's no planting table with shrub size, location, etc. I don't see the location, the move location of the conservation posts. These are all issues that the commission needs to consider, you know?
This is Art. If we go with Jim's, which I'm now thinking about here, if we continue so that we can see what it's going to look like.
I think that would be the alternative. Either we say no or we continue for filling in the blanks on the rest of the project as Bill outlined.
And there's some history, you know what I mean? That these are hostile environments. This is a lot like 111 Meadowview. John's been on that one also in the Follettes. So these things need to be tended to. So you can also make this long-term monitoring, like up to 5 years, so that it lives. Because that area on the left-hand side is going to be in a tough way if it's not monitored. And then it's tied to the COC. That's another way of dealing with it.
Hearing Officer, may I make a quick comment?
Jim, please.
Yeah, thank you. So I do want to concur, and I appreciate Mr. Carberry. I don't mean to be prescriptive, John. I'm just trying to think out of the box to find a way, should they not want to remove the driveway, that they could get out of that. I concur. It would need to be continued. The applicant would have all the flexibility to propose to us whatever they wanted. A good idea of what the commission wants, right, John? And I think Bill Grafton was correct as well. I mean, I'm sure you'd come back with really good planting plans and species and locations, everything like that, like you normally would. Commissioner Ring, Hearing Officer Ring, I think we're ready. No?
I believe that we've reached a consensus to give this back to John and have him fill in the blanks and work out with the Follettes the issue about the driveway.
And Mr. Hearing Officer, you want an engineered version of this. This is wonderful work by John, but this will be a supplement to a final plan. Okay, John, I know what you did. I see it. It's good, but it is not a stamped plan by Bob Crawford or equivalent.
I fully understand that, and I apologize for my cartoon.
I got busy. I missed this.
I thought they were elegant wetland scientist squiggles.
Right?
You got lucky.
I can do plants and stuff, but don't put me in front of a site plan.
So you're looking, your commission's looking for an engineered plan. We want a planting plan from John Zimmer, specific species with a table on the new plan, the impervious table on the new plan, and then a minimum of this 10 by 21 or larger, and it has to have a cross section, John, showing it's impermeable, because other a pervious surface in these areas, and then that starts to fly. If you want some examples of the cross sections, we've got about 4 or 5 that have been successful recently, and they've been handled by landscapers, etc.
Okay, yeah, I think that would be very helpful, and I appreciate the commission's willingness to kind of work with us on this. I agree wholeheartedly that it's an unfortunate situation, but again, I mean, this really comes down to a stormwater management issue, which Jim pointed to. And I think by incorporating some impervious here, I think we'll be able to address that. There is a catch basin down the road. My concern, if we went ahead and pulled everything out and made it gravel, over time that gravel gets compacted and it basically becomes impervious, and you would just end up with runoff, which is probably going to have more suspended solids than a paved area. So I think this is actually a good compromise. And I'll go back and discuss it with the Follettes, and we'll get back to you with a better site plan.
Last thing, Mr. Hearing Officer, I'd like to see this one out to April 6th. John, do you have any issues with that?
I personally do not. I would just double check with the Follettes that they're okay with it as well.
Can you do that now? Because we have to have a date certain.
So if we give him the 6th and he finds out that he can't do the 6th, he can come and ask us for longer.
No, you're locked. There's a 21-day window. John and I know that, and you know that. And we're locked on the 21 days. We're asking if the 6 is going to work out.
Don, are you able to unmute? Okay, he may not be able to. I think we'll need to April 6th because there's quite a bit of homework that we need to do here. And I don't want to rush something in next week that doesn't meet what you're looking for.
Okay, John.
Okay, so then I would like to make a motion that we continue this to April 6th. Is there a second?
Second, Susan Karen.
Thank you, Susan. So with that, Susan, I'm going to start the vote. Susan, would you tell us how you vote for this?
Susan Karen, yes.
Chairman Kilcoyne,
Kilcoyne, yes.
Vice Chair Burt,
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Craig,
Craig Hannafin, yes.
all right,
Art Lagi, yes.
Rick,
Rick Carver, yes.
and Joe Ring also votes yes, and so I believe that brings us to a 7-0 on this.
Very good. No
Thank you.
deal. Understood.
Everybody for working together on this one. I think this one showed good cooperation. It's a great way to do things. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. All right, thanks very much.
Thank you, Jim, for the nice idea.
My pleasure, Joe. Thanks, John. Thanks, Joe. All right, we'll move on now to kind of the administrative portion of the meeting here. I think if we focused, we can move fairly quickly. So we're going to do right now, we're going to do ratify the continuances. So this is lot 9, SE 4293, vote to continue to 316 public meeting as per the applicant's representative written request. I'll look for a second.
Second, Craig Hannafin.
Commissioner Susan,
Susan Karen, yes.
Commissioner Craig,
Craig Hannafin, yes.
Commissioner Joe,
Joe Ring, yes.
Commissioner Rick,
Rick Carver, yes.
Commissioner Art,
Art Lagi, yes.
Commissioner Vice Chair Burt,
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Joe Coyne, yes. Adelaide lots 10 through 13, pending the receipt of the NESP in response to subdivision. Applicant's request to continue to 316 for second.
Art Lagi, second.
By the way, that is SE 422895. Thank you, Arthur. Commissioner Susan,
Susan Karen, yes.
Mr. Craig,
Craig Hannafin, yes.
Commissioner Joe,
Joe Ring, yes.
Commissioner Rick,
Rick Carver, yes.
Commissioner Art,
Art Lagi, yes.
Commissioner Burt, Vice Chair Burt,
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Jim Kilcoyne is a yes. We have now South River, SE 4293. Board of Health is advised that this site will be difficult to locate a septic system. Vote to continue 316 public meeting as per the applicant representative request. To look for a second.
Joe Ring, second.
Got that, Bill?
Yep, Joe Ring.
Okay, good. All right, Vice Chair. Let's go with it. Let's go backwards. Vice Chair Burt.
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
All right. Commissioner Art.
Art Lagi, yes.
Commissioner Rick.
Rick Carver, yes.
Commissioner Joe.
Joe Ring, yes.
Mr. Craig.
Craig Hannafin, yes.
Commissioner Susan.
Susan Karen, yes.
And Jim Kilcoyne is a yes. Okay, those are all the continuances. We go on to compliances and extensions this evening. This is SE 422561 Jackson Street. Vote to approve a 3-year extension to a valid permit, SE 422560. I'd like to hear a second for that motion, please.
Second, Craig Hannafin.
Got that, Bill?
I got it.
Okay. Commissioner Susan.
Susan Karen, yes.
Commissioner Craig.
Craig Hannafin, yes.
Commissioner Joe.
Joe Ring, yes.
Mr. Rick.
Rick Carver, yes.
Commissioner Art.
Art Lagi, yes.
Mr. Chair Burt.
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Jim Kilcoyne, yes. This is SE 422709 and SE 422709. Amended Lowy 1354. Vote to approve a 3-year extension to the valid permit SE 422709, SE 2709. Amended. I'd like a second for that.
Second, Rick Carberry.
Commissioner Susan.
Susan, yes. Susan Karen,
Mr.
yes.
Craig.
I was recused on this. Do I recuse from this vote?
Yes, why don't you
Yes.
recuse?
Yeah, recused.
Commissioner
Okay.
Joe, thank you, Craig. Good catch. Commissioner Joe,
Yes.
Commissioner Rick,
Rick Carver, yes.
Commissioner Art,
Art Loggy, yes.
Commissioner Vice Chair Burt,
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Jim Kilcoyne, yes. SE 422732, Town of Situate, South River Dredge. Vote to approve a 3 extension to a valid permit, SE 42.
Point of order. Can Craig Hannafin return the meeting, please?
Craig Hannafin, will you please return in from your recusal?
I'm returned.
Thank you, Mr. Grafton. SE 422732, Town of Situate, South River Dredge. Vote to approve a 3-year extension to a valid permit, SE 422732.
Mr. Hearing Officer, could one of us read, either you or I, the comments from the Harbor Master? I think this is important that the public hears this. The
I
Harbor
was more than
Master-
willing to do that. The
Please
Marshall
put
Harbor
this together
Master
quick.
reports that the South River dredging project was broken down in 4 areas, A, B, C, and D. We were able to complete Area A dredging in the confluence of the North-South rivers in July, August 2019. We also extended into Area B. However, the dredge crew had to leave in October 2019 and left us short a bit of finishing this portion. Nonetheless, we are optimistic in working with the Town of Situate to hopefully complete the dredging to the C Street Bridge. We suggest a 3-year extension. Thus, SE 422732, Town of Situate, South River Dredge. Vote to approve a 3-year extension for valid permit, SE 422732. I'd like a second, please.
Joe Ring, second.
All right.
Got it.
Commissioner Susan?
Susan Karen, yes.
Commissioner Craig?
Craig Hannafin, yes.
Commissioner Joseph?
Joe Ring, yes.
Commissioner Rick?
Rick Carver, yes.
Commissioner Art?
Art Loggy, yes.
Vice Chair Burt?
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Jim Kilcoyne, yes. SE 421816, Burbank, 250 Damon Point Road. Vote to approve a complete certificate of compliance. I'd look for a second.
Art Loggy, second.
Commissioner Susan?
Susan Karen, yes.
Commissioner Craig?
Craig Hannafin, yes.
Commissioner Joe?
Joe Ring, yes.
Commissioner Rick?
Rick Carver, yes.
Commissioner Art?
Art Loggy, yes.
Vice Chair Burt?
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Jim Kilcoyne, yes. SE 2436, 1854 Ocean Street.
Mr. Chairman, may I
Yes, sir.
read this one? I haven't seen anything this awful in a while, and I wanted to get it out there real quick. I think the commissioners need to go to this property and take a look at it. I don't feel like much of any of the original work was completed. Special condition E with a chain link fence is not fulfilled. Special condition F, stormwater runoff into subsurface swale, et cetera, not completed. Special condition I, catch bases to be cleaned out, not completed. Special condition J, no chemicals, unknown. Special condition L, all trash debris to be cleaned up. The area has got construction waste back there all the way down the bank. I need the commissioners to get out and help me with this property and take a look at it. I cannot even imagine putting this forward for a certificate of compliance completion. It did not have a letter from the registered professional engineer or professional land surveyor. Last thing, the site plan was lacking a lot of the detail that we should have had for the as-built. So I have to put this on hold, and I'd like to request that the commissioners join me one-on-one or as a group to go down and look at this. It's really an issue.
Thank you, Mr. Grafton. Duly noted and read into the record for SC 422436, 1852 Ocean Street. I am making a motion that we table the COC until additional information from the applicant is returned and received to us. I would like a second for that.
Craig Hannafin, second.
Commissioner Susan?
Susan Karen, yes.
Commissioner Craig?
Craig Hannafin, yes.
Vice Chair. I promoted you. I've promoted a couple people today. Commissioner Joe?
Joe Ring, yes.
Commissioner Rick?
Rick Carver, yes.
Commissioner Arthur?
Art Loggy, yes.
Vice Chair Burt?
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
And Jim Kilcoyne is a yes. Mr. Grafton, unless I am wrong, did that conclude our meeting for this evening?
Yep, very efficient, very efficient.
Mr. Chairman.
So I would like,
Joe Ring, one question. How are we working with the last case to resolve those points? Does the homeowner, does the property owner know all these issues exist?
No, not yet. They have reached us because they're selling the property, and this is what happens, Joe. So I've just got their email. I have everything you see here. I'm going to convey it, and then it's going to begin. It's going to begin, and it's going to eat up a lot of time. And when I first started here, I was getting these kinds in the beginning. It took so many hours; it's unbelievable. So we got a certificate of compliance checklist because the commission stood behind me. We were able to put everything back on the right to Chester track. So we'll get them taken care
You're
of for
working
you.
with the property owner.
Yes.
Awesome. Jim, I will second your motion to adjourn.
That's the second time you've done that tonight, which I thought was quite humorous the first time. So I would like to make a motion, but before I do, Joseph, I'd like to thank everybody for this evening. There weren't a tremendous amount. We only had 14. Sometimes we have 19 to 21, but they were challenging, and I appreciate your professionalism and the way you handled yourself. So thank you very much. With that, I'd like to make a motion to close the conservation meeting of March 2nd, 2021. I'd look for a second.
Do it, Joe.
I wasn't going to do it on purpose.
Come on, do it the third time.
Joe Ring will second, yes.
Outstanding.
Come on.
He's wearing
Commissioner
the gear.
Susan.
Come on, Rick. He's wearing the
Susan
gear.
Karen, yes.
Commissioner Craig.
Craig Hannafin, yes?
Commissioner Joe.
Joe Ring.
Oh, sorry. We already got you. Commissioner Rick.
Rick Carver, yes.
Commissioner Art.
Carlagi, yes.
Commissioner Vice Chair Burt.
Earl O'Donnell, yes.
Jim Kilcoyne is a yes. So with that.
Good
We're done.
night.
Night, everyone.
Everyone.
Take care.
Thank you,
Adios.
everyone.